We can now speak to Tricia Logan. She heads the research and engagement team at British Columbia's University Indian Residential School History and Dialogue Centre. She joins us now from Vancouver. And I know you've said the community always knew that children were buried at this school. What's been the reaction to this news?
There's been an incredible reaction here in British Columbia and across Canada. To Kamloops and to Shikwepum communities who conducted the ground penetrating radar research and made this discovery have been supported locally and I think nationwide by survivors and by other communities who are holding vigils and holding ceremony to honor the children that passed away.
Is it possible that more bodies are likely to be found?
In that location, it's hard to say definitively how many more, or if there are other locations of unmarked burials. But there were approximately 150 residential schools across Canada and throughout British Columbia. So there typically were cemeteries or unmarked burial sites at almost nearly every residential school in Canada. So this does draw a lot of attention to schools in and around British Columbia and across Canada as well.
Obviously, you have spoken to community representatives. You are engaged in conversations with them. Have you learned any more about what took place, about the level of abuse and neglect and suffering inside of this school?
Yeah, the school was open for over 88 years. And so I know that there were approximately 30 to 35 different communities that children would have been taken from. And the communities nearby, the Kamloops to Shikwepum community that conducted this research and has done a lot of this work and who knew about this site for a long time, for possibly as long as the school was open. They're doing this kind of work with a lot of different communities in mind, knowing that children were taken from very far away sometimes to be taken to this school. And it was a very large school and operated for over 88 years. And so the rates of abuse, physical and sexual abuse, as well as diseases and malnutrition and neglect that contributed to the deaths of pupils is definitely something that community members and survivors and communities across Canada are really taking another look at, and also taking a bigger look at the trauma and the devastation that comes with more truth and learning more about what really happened at the schools.
And that's crucial, isn't it? As you say, trauma, it's often passed from one generation to another. How has that legacy affected people in Indigenous communities today?
Yes, and I think that's something a lot of Canadians, there are a lot of people still are learning or don't understand about the history of residential schools is for people who attended the schools and then their children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, there are a number of different intergenerational impacts that ripple through the community and tie the histories of the residential schools to a lot of other histories of colonialism and settler colonialism in Canada, and how a lot of those impacts are tied together, how the history of schools that operated for over 150 years here in Canada, right up until around 1996, how that history impacts Indigenous communities today.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate it, Tricia Logan.
Thank you.